I spent a week inside what people were calling a Roblox cult, and going into this, I expected one of two outcomes. Either I'd find a group of people role-playing way too seriously, or I'd stumble into the digital equivalent of a middle school drama club with matching uniforms. Somehow, the reality landed somewhere in between, except with enough paranoia to make you question whether someone was about to pull your IP address because you forgot to salute the group leader. Roblox has always been a strange place. For every game where you're delivering pizzas or surviving natural disasters, there's another where someone has built an entire civilization with ranks, rituals, secret meetings, loyalty tests, and enough rules to make joining feel like you're applying for a government security clearance. So when people started messaging me saying, "You have to check out this Roblox cult," I assumed they were exaggerating. The internet loves turning everything into a conspiracy. Someone starts a Discord server with matching profile pictures, and suddenly they're being described as an underground organization. But after seeing screenshots of massive gatherings, strange ceremonies, and dozens of players treating one random avatar like they were the emperor of the universe, curiosity won. I made a fresh account. No links to my channel, no recognizable username, no expensive accessories, nothing flashy. Just a plain bacon hair, because nobody suspects the guy who still looks like he installed Roblox 5 minutes ago. My goal was simple: blend in, observe everything, leave before things got weird. Unfortunately for me, things got weird almost immediately. Finding them wasn't difficult. They weren't exactly hiding. Their recruitment messages were sitting in game chats, Discord servers, and community groups. They described themselves using words like family, order, unity, and loyalty. Those words sound harmless until somebody starts capitalizing every letter and speaking like they're narrating a medieval kingdom. I joined their public server, and within minutes someone approached me. They didn't ask what games I liked. They didn't ask how long I'd played Roblox. The first question was whether I was willing to dedicate myself to the group. That's a heavy question to ask someone whose avatar still has default clothes. I answered carefully. I said I was looking for a community because I was tired of playing alone. Apparently, that was the correct dialogue option because they immediately invited me to training. Training sounded ridiculous until I realized they were completely serious. We loaded into a custom experience that looked like an enormous fortress. Everyone lined up in perfectly straight rows. Someone higher ranked began walking between players inspecting uniforms like a drill sergeant inspecting recruits. If someone moved without permission, they were corrected. If someone spoke out of turn, they were corrected. If someone used the wrong emote, they were corrected. I've played competitive games with less structure than whatever this was. At first I couldn't stop laughing. Not out loud, obviously. That would have ended my little undercover adventure instantly. But internally I kept thinking, this is Roblox. These are block people with smiley faces pretending they're in a military documentary. Then something interesting happened. After a while, the jokes stopped feeling obvious because nobody else was treating this like a joke. Every single person around me acted as though this organization mattered. Promotions mattered, respect mattered, reputation mattered. They remembered names. They recognized ranks instantly. People congratulated each other over earning titles that required hours of activity. The commitment was genuine. Whether it made sense from the outside almost didn't matter anymore, because inside their world, those accomplishments carried weight. The first few days mostly involved observing. Members attended scheduled events almost every evening. Meetings, patrols, ceremonies, recruitment sessions, training drills. Sometimes we'd simply stand in formation while higher-ranking members gave speeches about loyalty and protecting the community. It honestly felt like somebody had mashed together a Roblox game, a fantasy kingdom, and a corporate seminar. Then came the rules. There were so many rules. Don't interrupt leaders. Don't argue publicly. Don't leak information. Don't disrespect uniforms. Don't skip mandatory events without explanation. Don't question certain decisions. Don't associate with rival groups while representing the organization. Some rules made sense for maintaining order. Others felt oddly intense considering we were discussing cartoon avatars with oversized heads. By day 4, I noticed something else. Suspicion. New members weren't trusted immediately. They watched how you behaved. They paid attention to how often you attended activities. They asked small questions to verify your story. Where did you hear about them? What games did you usually play? Why did you want to join? Individually, these questions seemed harmless. Together, they felt like an interview designed to catch inconsistencies. That's when I realized I needed to keep my fake backstory straight. Every answer had to match previous conversations. One contradiction, and somebody might start digging deeper. And digging deeper would have been a disaster, because eventually they'd figure out I wasn't there to become Employee of the Month for the Roblox Empire. I was documenting everything. Then I made my first mistake. During one event, I accidentally referred to a leader by the wrong rank. Silence. Absolute silence. Multiple avatars turned toward me simultaneously. One moderator walked over. Another asked whether I'd read the handbook. I said I was still learning. They didn't kick me immediately, but I definitely landed on someone's mental watch list. From then on, I became much more careful. I memorized names, memorized ranks, memorized who outranked who. I wasn't playing Roblox anymore. I was studying organizational charts like there was going to be a final exam. The longer I stayed, the stranger the social dynamics became. Some members clearly treated the group as a hobby. Others treated it like a second job. Then there were a handful who seemed emotionally invested to a degree I wasn't expecting. Disagreements became personal. Promotions sparked celebrations. Demotions caused genuine arguments. Entire conversations revolved around internal politics that sounded completely incomprehensible unless you'd been there for months. One evening, another recruit messaged me privately asking whether I trusted the leadership. That question immediately raised every alarm bell imaginable. Was this a loyalty test? Was he genuinely suspicious? Was he trying to bait me into criticizing the group? I gave the safest answer possible. I said I was too new to form an opinion and wanted to learn more first. His response was one word: smart. Then he logged off. Thanks for the heart attack, Anonymous Bacon Hair. As the week continued, I started noticing invisible factions. Publicly, everyone promoted unity. Privately, people whispered about disagreements between officers. Certain leaders weren't popular. Certain promotions were controversial. Some members believed others received favoritism. It was basically office politics, except everyone looked like plastic action figures. Then came the moment where I genuinely thought the experiment was over. During a recruitment session, someone suddenly asked if I'd ever made YouTube videos before. I froze. My account wasn't linked to anything. My username was different. My avatar was generic. How did this person even come up with that question? I answered no. Technically no, because this account hadn't made any videos. The conversation moved on, but I spent the next hour expecting someone to expose me in front of 50 people like I'd been caught in a spy movie. Nothing happened. Yet every notification after that felt dangerous. Every private message made me wonder whether someone had connected the dots. It never happened, but the tension stayed with me. Toward the end of the week, I finally understood why these communities exist. It wasn't about worshipping a leader. It wasn't about pretending Roblox was real life. For many members, this was simply somewhere they belonged. They logged in every day and people recognized them. Friends greeted them. Their efforts earned promotions. They had structure, goals, and community. Strip away the blocky graphics and you're looking at the same reason people join sports teams, gaming clans, or hobby groups. The problem begins when commitment turns into obsession. I saw members cancel other activities because they didn't want to miss mandatory events. I saw people argue for hours over fictional authority. I watched friendships fracture because someone supported the wrong officer during an internal disagreement. That's when the roleplay stopped looking harmless and started looking exhausting. On my final day, I attended one last ceremony. Everyone stood in formation while announcements were made about future plans. Promotions happened. New recruits joined. Veterans received recognition. Looking around, I realized nobody suspected I'd spent the entire week quietly observing everything. They thought I was another recruit climbing through the ranks. Part of me felt guilty because several members had been genuinely friendly. They answered questions, helped me understand procedures, and welcomed me into conversations. Another part of me remembered that if I'd announced, "Hey everyone, I'm secretly making a video about this," I'd have lasted approximately 4 seconds before being escorted into another dimension. So I quietly left. No dramatic speech, no big reveal. I simply logged out and never returned. Looking back, was it a cult? Not in the literal sense people use outside the internet. Nobody kidnapped me. Nobody demanded my wallet. Nobody forced me to abandon civilization for the Roblox throne. But the culture absolutely encouraged conformity, hierarchy, loyalty, and social pressure in ways that became fascinating to watch. It blurred the line between harmless roleplay and genuine emotional investment. Some people participated because it was entertaining. Others seemed to build their entire online identity around climbing invisible ladders inside a video game. The funniest part is how normal everything became after a few days. By the middle of the week, I caught myself automatically standing in formation without thinking. I'd started using their terminology. I'd memorized ranks. My brain adapted frighteningly fast. That's probably the biggest lesson from the whole experience. Humans adapt to structure almost immediately, even when that structure exists inside a game about square-headed avatars wearing bacon strips for hair. So yes, I spent a week inside one of Roblox's strangest communities. I survived the loyalty tests, the ceremonies, the endless ranks, the suspicious questions, and the paranoia of wondering whether someone had figured out who I was. They almost found me out more than once, and if one conversation had gone slightly differently, this entire undercover experiment would have ended with me getting banned from the group before I even reached the halfway point. Instead, I walked away with a story proving that Roblox is still one of the most unpredictable places on the internet. Every time you think you've seen the weirdest thing possible, someone builds an empire, writes a constitution for block people, appoints 27 officers, schedules mandatory meetings, and somehow convinces hundreds of strangers to treat Tuesday night attendance like the fate of the free world depends on it. Honestly, that's the beauty of Roblox. Underneath the memes and chaos, people keep inventing entirely new corners of the platform that nobody expects. Some are wholesome, some are hilarious, and some leave you staring at your monitor wondering how you accidentally joined an organization with more paperwork than your local city council. After 1 week undercover, I was happy to log back into my normal account, leave the rankings behind, and remember that sometimes the safest place on Roblox is simply the pizza game, where the biggest argument you'll have all day is whether somebody forgot to put cheese on the pepperoni pizza.